Chongqing crematoriums overwhelmed, citizens die suddenly. After 10 years, China Meteorological Administration issues freezing warning again. Credit Suisse dissolves Chinese wealth management team, lays off dozens. Interview with Wu Jialong, viewing the political crisis in Zhongnanhai from economic difficulties. It's all covered in today's China Truths. Chongqing crematoriums overwhelmed, citizens die suddenly. The epidemic is unfolding in an extremely severe manner on the Chinese mainland. Chongqing is facing another significant outbreak, and local residents are reporting overwhelming conditions in some funeral homes, and sudden deaths of citizens. However, this information is being suppressed. In more detail, a resident of the Nannan district in Chongqing, named Chen Xin, recently shared with Epoch Times reporters that about half of the people in his niece's workplace have come down with a fever and a cold. Meanwhile, the crematorium is handling more bodies than usual, and the memorial halls are full, indicating a higher number of deaths among the elderly. He recalled that a few days ago, a friend of his passed away. Although the Shiqiapu crematorium is closer to them, they had to go to the farther Jiannan crematorium because the memorial hall at Shiqiapu was full, with no available space. Notably, Chen Xin informed reporters that on December 11th, a woman in her 30s died after running a few steps to catch a bus. Mr. Fang, a resident of Anhui, shared that a few days ago, a 5-year-old girl suddenly passed away. It took half an hour, and she ceased breathing. No examination or autopsy was conducted. From last year to this year, there has been a notable increase in cases of strokes, heart attacks, and sudden deaths. Among his friends and neighbors, there have been 7 or 8 such cases. According to these residents, such incidents cannot be reported. News media has many red lines, and reporting on certain matters, such as real estate and official corruption, could result in the loss of jobs for journalists and editors, who are then left covering only inconsequential topics. Furthermore, high medical fees also plunge people into desperate situations. On December 11th, a mother from Chongqing posted a brief video on social media, reporting that her 10-year-old daughter had a fever. She took her to the pediatric department of Chongqing 5th People's Hospital for medical attention. The registration fee was approximately $2.1, and the blood test fee was about $10.23. She was prescribed 4 boxes of medication, totaling $16.05, with an additional coordinated payment of $3.03. The overall cost came to $31.41, about 223.86 yuan. She posed the question, with such expenses, can you still afford to get sick? After 10 years, China Meteorological Administration issues freezing warning again. At 1800 hours local time on December 12, the China Central Meteorological Administration unusually issued a freeze warning. The last time China issued a freeze weather warning was in 2013. According to the yellow freeze warning issued by the Central Meteorological Administration on the evening of the 12th, it is expected that from 2000 hours on December 12 to 2000 hours on the 13th, there will be freezing rain in parts of southern northern Shaanxi and eastern Qinling, southern Shaanxi, northern and western Henan, and central Shandong. From the 13th to the 16th, a large-scale rain and snow event and cold wave will again occur in the central and eastern parts of the mainland. Among them, North China and the Huanghai region will have the highest cumulative snowfall for the same period in nearly 10 years, with the -10 degrees Celsius line located from the northern Huanghai region to the Qinling area, and the lowest temperature will approach or break historical records for the same period. The Beijing Meteorological Observatory also forecasted on the evening of the 12th that from the morning of the 13th to the morning of the 15th, there will be heavy snow to blizzard in Beijing. The strongest period of this snowfall will be from 10 to 2000 hours on the 13th, with snowfall exceeding 10 mm in parts of Yanqing, Chongping, Mentugu, Fangshan, Huairou, Haidian, Shijingshan, Fengtai, Dongcheng, Xiqing, Chaoyang, Daxing, and Tongzhou. As a result, the meteorological station upgraded to an orange blizzard warning signal. Given the above weather forecast, the Beijing Municipal Education Commission announced that from the 13th, temporary home learning measures will be taken for primary and secondary schools, kindergartens, and secondary vocational schools across the city, and the specific time for resuming classes will be notified separately. The Beijing Emergency Response Bureau also issued a notice, advocating for citizens to reduce travel, avoid going to mountainous areas, promote staggered commuting and flexible working, and require city operation support units to fully clear snow and ice, and organize and guide traffic. In addition, some mountainous and suburban scenic areas in Beijing have announced temporary closures. Credit Suisse dissolves Chinese wealth management team, lays off dozens. Insiders report that as UBS Group, which is acquiring Credit Suisse, does not accept Credit Suisse's Chinese wealth management team, the entire team will be dissolved. The departures include at least 20 client relationship managers and investment advisors, as well as Wang Jing, the CEO of Credit Suisse Securities, China. Sources told Bloomberg that some support positions are also affected but did not provide specific numbers. At one point, the department had about 40 employees. One insider said that the layoffs in the wealth management department began in October. This is because UBS believes that Credit Suisse's strategy of selling wealth management products through a branch network in China does not align with UBS's current model. Spokespersons for UBS and Credit Suisse have not commented on this. Following UBS's acquisition of Credit Suisse, and since UBS already has a securities company in China, they need to sell Credit Suisse's securities business due to their inability to hold two similar licenses. After dissolving the wealth management team, Credit Suisse's securities business in China currently includes investment banking and brokerage operations and is actively seeking buyers. Over 3 years ago, Wang Jing was poached by China Merchants Bank to expand Credit Suisse's wealth footprint in mainland China. Last year, following corporate restructuring and the departure of senior management, Wang Jing was appointed CEO of the securities business, significantly restructuring and strengthening operations in China. At that time, Credit Suisse had planned to buy the 49% stake held by its joint venture partner Founder Securities, aiming to become the third foreign wholly owned brokerage in China. However, this deal was ultimately not completed. Insiders say that after UBS acquired Credit Suisse, mediated by Swiss authorities, this transaction was cancelled. Interview with Wu Jialong, viewing the political crisis in Zhongnanhai from economic difficulties. Recently, the crisis in China's real estate sector has continued to expand, with more companies experiencing financial turmoil. At the same time, the stock market has plummeted, and foreign capital is fleeing. Economist Wu Jialong analyzed to the Epoch Times on the 11th that the core problem of China's economy, as apparent from the surface, is the real estate crisis. This has harmed local fiscal revenues due to the contraction of land transfer income. Local finances can only rely on issuing bonds, and the debt continues to accumulate. According to data released by the CCP authorities on November 30th, as of the end of October 2023, the local government debt balance exceeded 40 trillion yuan for the first time. In the first 11 months of this year, local governments issued a total of 9.14 trillion yuan in bonds, half of which were used to repay old debts. Last week, international credit rating agency Moody's downgraded a series of institutions including the Chinese government, Hong Kong and Macau, large state-owned banks, and Pillar Central Enterprises and state-owned enterprises to a negative credit rating. Under these circumstances, Wu Jialong believes, of course, the economy cannot be saved. Xi Jinping is also busy dealing with local government debts and state-owned enterprise debts, overwhelmed and without any countermeasures. Analysis: 3 major causes of economic downturn, problems piling up. The latest data shows that China is facing the risk of deflation. The CCP's National Bureau of Statistics stated last Saturday that China's consumer price index fell by 0.5% year-on-year in November, a larger drop than October's 0.2%. The weak inflation data further indicates that the Chinese economy has once again lost momentum. Wu Jialong believes there are 3 fundamental reasons for the economic downturn. First, the Chinese economy has lost its growth momentum. Second, domestic demand is insufficient to compensate for external demand, and third, capital outflow. The external manifestation is this year's sluggish stock market. He said, next, all problems will come one after another: finance, fiscal policy, industry, employment, and then banking crises, fiscal crises, and more. Just looking at the surface phenomena is overwhelming. You need to look at the underlying causes. The root cause is Xi Jinping's promotion of the East rising and the West declining, confronting and opposing the United States. The United States no longer supports the Chinese economy, and the Chinese economy cannot rely on domestic demand alone. Just the results of decoupling have left Beijing in a sweat, plus employment is poor, finance and fiscal policy are poor, domestic demand will shrink further, so both external and internal demands are failing. He believes this will evolve into a political issue, from economic to political problems, and then Xi Jinping can only defend. He can't find external assistance, and currently, there is no one in the world who can help the Chinese economy. Confronting the United States causes Wall Street to turn away, leaving the Chinese economy unaided. Currently, foreign capital is massively withdrawing from China. The Wall Street Journal recently quoted CCP data reporting that as of October, institutional investors reduced their investments in Chinese stocks and bonds by $31 billion. This is the largest net capital outflow since China joined the World Trade Organization in 2001. Some hedge funds, including Bridgewater Associates, have significantly reduced their holdings in Chinese securities. Private equity firms such as Carlyle have cut their fundraising targets for their Asia funds. Mutual fund management companies like Vanguard and Van Eck have also exited China, abandoning their business plans in China. Wu said, Wall Street has also withdrawn and started to turn away. So from economy to politics to military and wolf warrior diplomacy, none of it works anymore. People don't want to play with you anymore. Foreign capital is withdrawing, physical investment is withdrawing, financial investment is withdrawing, so if your domestic demand can't do it, and then Hong Kong is done, Shanghai is done, it's very difficult to save the Chinese economy. The CCP's corruption is a systemic factor. The CCP has always faced systemic disadvantages, not advantages. It doesn't understand this and continues to talk about systemic and path advantages. In reality, the common people are just leeks waiting to be harvested. Regarding such a large economy as China, Wu Jialong said, destruction should be very difficult, but now Xi Jinping has done it single-handedly. The British took 100 years to build Hong Kong, and now, the CCP, has destroyed it in 3 years. Once Hong Kong is destroyed, there's no saving the Chinese economy. He said, the Chinese economy was able to rise because of the support from the United States and Western countries, providing capital, technology, and support from all countries and regions, including Taiwan, Hong Kong, South Korea, Japan, the United States, Europe, etc. But since Xi Jinping's second term, the tide has turned. The reform and opening up have been destroyed in the hands of Xi Jinping's generation. Major economic and political challenges for China in 2024. In summary, Wu believes that the Chinese economy faces a plethora of problems in industry, trade, investment, finance, fiscal development, and research institutions. You can't politically outmaneuver the Americans, and now you've ruined the Chinese economy, so how will you save China? He thinks that Xi Jinping cannot sustain this situation. Unlike during Mao Zedong's era, when the public still had some enthusiasm for socialism, now there is completely no enthusiasm for it, which is different from the past. He said, now everyone understands that socialism and the Communist Party are not the solution. I don't know how Xi Jinping is going to sustain it. Wu says that the key thing the CCP needs to do now is institutional design, but Beijing fundamentally does not understand this concept, and that's where the problem lies. The basic direction of institutional design is to allow talents to play their roles and contribute. China is not without talent, it definitely has talent. But the current communist system, a one-party dictatorship with a single leader's autocracy, will ruin China. Wu believes that in 2024, China's economy and politics may face significant difficulties. A crucial reason is China's self-initiated decoupling under Xi Jinping's policies, which accelerates the withdrawal of foreign capital, including direct investments and financial capital, which might lead to an even worse vicious cycle in China. Don't forget to leave a comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths.